Hello, everybody. This is Zach at it again. I'm your host, Zach Cooley, and I'm honored to be here with Dave Revels. He is with the Shadows of the 60s Motown show, and they are coming to our very own Millwald Theatre in Wytheville, Virginia on May the 2nd, and we are very excited to have them. Dave, it's a pleasure to welcome you to the program.
It's an honor. I really appreciate it, Zach. We really look forward to coming into different communities because we're a family show.
Mm-hmm.
So, what better place to do but in a community where people know each other and like to celebrate events together. So, we're really looking forward to that part to make it a real celebration.
And we were talking about Wytheville just briefly before the interview started, and you said that you had been to Wytheville before.
Well, all throughout Virginia, West Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, just keep naming it.
Yeah.
I've been traveling for 50 years as a professional, so I've crisscrossed the United States so many times that when I go into a town, I say, wait a minute, that looks familiar, I remember that. And then I got to go back 10, 15 years, because, in the early 80s to 90, I was with the Drifters, which featured two original members. I was a member of the Drifters. So back in that time, there's a real swing of interest in that genre of music, all the oldies and groups. So we were literally working 28 days a month. And so we crossed all across the United States, man. It was quite a journey,
And absolutely, I believe the Drifters during that time period played our Chautauqua Festival, which is an outdoor free summer festival that we have. The Drifters played at our brand new Millwald Theatre, which opened up in December of 2022. They were one of our first major shows, and they played to a sold-out crowd.
Fantastic.
And they were really great. And looking forward to hopefully having a sellout crowd for you guys as well, because your show looks absolutely exciting. When I saw that they were coming, I called the manager at the Millwald, Donnie, and I said, you got to get me hooked up with interviewing these folks, and I definitely want to review this show because at the first sight of what I saw, I said, this looks like, because I was born in 1985, but I have loved and listened to Motown and soul music all my life. This looks like what the original Motown review must have looked like. Because back in the day, they were all touring together and all the groups were on the same stage together. And it was like all day long for $1.50. It must have been a truly amazing time. And the Funk Brothers backing band. And looking at the first publicity shot that I saw of your group put me in mind of that original Motown review. So that must be what you are trying to achieve.
Well, you hit it right on the head. Like I said, I've been, when I was with the Drifters, we toured with the Four Tops, the Temptations, Martha Reeves. We did a lot of those concerts across the country, even the Spinners, and
right.
So what I learned from that period of work with the original artists is the energy that came from the stage to the floor, back to the stage. So what I try to create with this show as a producer and director of it, creative director, I try to capture the moment. Imagine this now, Zach. These groups, the writers got together with some ideas and came up with the songs, and they got the musicians to record. Then they had to figure out who was going to sing the song. Oh, let's give it to these guys, the Temptations. Let's give it to the Four Tops. And then these groups went and recorded the song. And then they voted on what song was going to be released. Then they released the song. The song became a big, huge hit to the public hearing it for the first time. Then these groups had to go into the rehearsal studios and rehearse in, day out, hour after hour, to get the choreography down. Now imagine they're going out now to perform these songs for the very first time live in front of an audience.
Right.
And now think of the energy of the audience who heard the songs, bought the songs, and are coming to see the group for the first time. Imagine the excitement they felt. So match the excitement of an artist seeing these groups perform for the first time, having bought the records and played it at home. The groups having rehearsed all these endless hours and are going to perform first time live in front of an audience with a hit record. Can you imagine the kind of energy that was?
And the level of performing and showmanship that they have.
The intensity.
Just incredible.
So the way I try to capture is by having people in my group that love the artists they're portraying, that they love to sing the songs of the artists, they idolize these artists. Like I idolize the Four Tops, Levi Stubbs, Duke, Obie, and Lawrence. I idolize that group. So when I'm singing those songs, I'm giving you everything because I'm coming from a place of pure adoration and for the sound that they made. And it helped me as a singer because I learned how to sing by that, really, by listening to this.
Right.
So everyone on the stage, I'm interested you mentioned the Funk Brothers because the singers couldn't sound that good if they didn't have a great band. So we call our band the Funk Cousins.
Oh, I love it.
And our music director actually was a protege of the Holland Dozier Holland songwriting producing team that wrote the Four Tops hits and some of the Supreme hits, like Keep Me Hanging On.
Yes.
And he was a protege of Dr. Teddy Harris Jr., who was the Supreme's musical director. So he learned from these people, and he actually played with members of the Funk Brothers when he was with Holland Dozier Holland. So we come from a place of experience, real-time experience of the artists themselves that did it. So we're not a bunch of singers or musicians who weren't in the circuit and weren't around in the live there doing that music. This is part of our vein in our blood. So this is not make-believe for us. This is pure joy and association.
Makes me very, very excited for the show. Now, you said you were a member of the Drifters at one point. Now, one of my all-time favorite performers ever, which a lot of people have never heard of, certainly in my age group, but one of my favorite all-time performers ever was Mr. Clyde McFadder. And
I know his son. Ron.
Oh, you know Ron. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. You know his parentage is royalty in the industry.
Absolutely.
Clyde is his father, and Ruth Brown is his mother. His son continues his legacy to this day. He has his own set of drifters called Clyde's Drifters, Clyde McFadder's Drifters.
That's wonderful. I would love to have him to have him come to the area.
I'll try to set it up. Why not try to do that? Okay?
Well, I hope you have a good experience here, so that he will want to. Come here. I was lucky enough at one point in my career to track down Clyde's last surviving brother, and I was able to interview him. His name was Leroy Joseph McFadder, but he very nice guy, and to meet Ron, that would be very exciting because I've seen clips of what he does and his show as well, and he definitely embodies the talent of his parents.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of he loves his parents.
Absolutely.
So, to have your child tell your story from the stage, that's pretty good.
Absolutely, because there are no, Ruth I think Ruth did publish a memoir because I have it, but I've always looked for books on Clyde. There are no books on Clyde. He's mentioned here and there, and there's not a lot of places where you can learn about him. So it's nice that his legacy is kept on in that way. So it must have been exciting to be a part of the Drifters, and also you said you had worked with the Four Tops, and that was one of my questions because in your byline it says open for the Four Tops, and we're talking about the original Four Tops, Levi
Yes.
Stubbs,
Yes.
Duke Facaw, all of those wonderful folks. What was that like, and what was your impression of them? Obviously, you were in all of them. Yeah.
Well, like I said, man, it's like I grew up listening to the records. Every artist or singing musician or otherwise, or writer, but anybody in the industry, there is somebody you look at and listen to or watch that you feel a kinship to, like you feel as though your sound is in their sound somewhere.
Yeah.
And you strive to do what they do. And so I studied all of Levi's leads. I studied every background note of each member of the group. I studied the music that was played behind them. So I was totally, immersed in the sound. And then when I joined the Drippers, we toured nationwide and worldwide with all the rock and rollers from Bo Diddley, Jerry Lee Lewis, Chubby Checker, Chuck Berry. Let's keep naming them. Leslie Gore, Fabian, all that stuff. And when I met the Four Tops in 1985, it was on Motown Returns to the Apollo Theatre on the NBC special.
Yeah.
And it was May 1st, 1985. Why do I remember it? Because that morning I was at a hospital witnessing my first child being born in 1985, May 1st.
Oh,
And
fabulous.
after she was born, that's your birthday, somewhere around there, you were born in 85. Then I jumped in the cab, went uptown to the Apollo Theatre, right? Went uptown to the Apollo Theatre, and we filmed the special. So the smile on my face was based on me being a new daddy.
You bet.
And being surrounded by all those people. But the Four Tops are four warm, giving, pleasant gentlemen who were friendly. They were very, approachable and funny. And they were extremely regal in nature. They were a really classy act. Real classy guys. You could see why they travel the world, because they just had an air about them of that professionalism that Motown stressed and strived to get in all their artists, because they knew the artists were going to be in front of kings and queens and royalty and other people. So they trained them to be that way. But the Four Tops were bloomed long before Motown, because they were already an established group before they came to Motown. So meeting them was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it came full circle. I idolized these guys, then I met them. So it's a wonderful thing. That's why I really started Shadows of the 60s. Initially, it was a tribute to the Four Tops when Levi passed away. But then it expanded and kept growing when I knew that people wanted to hear the other Motown artists.
Absolutely. And, just hearing you tell those stories is just fantastic. Because there are two concerts I will never forget in my life. I have many I will never forget, but when I became engaged to my wife, I spent every penny that I had and more besides to my best friend at the time, drove us to New York City to the Roseland Ballroom, and which is now gone, unfortunately, that wonderful historic place. Where we saw Phil Collins do his Motown show with Bob Babbitt and Eddie Chank Willis as his rhythm section, and that was just an unbelievable show.
Yeah, so Bob Babbitt took the chair later from, he followed in the chair with James Jameson.
Right. Yes.
So he's an incredible player himself,
Yes, and Eddie Chank Willis, went all the way back, and that was a great show. And then I went to Charlotte one time and saw at 72 years old Smokey Robinson perform, going all around that stage and singing like he was 20 years old. And talking about the old days of Motown, how they all used to do it day after day after day. And you could see all these wonderful acts for $1.50. And it was just incredible. And
it is, man. Exactly, it is, because I experienced what it felt like that day in, day out touring, because it trains you, it develops you, it gives you stamina. and increases your, how would you say, you just improve yourself, is what I'm saying. You get better and better. Because when you're touring 28 days a month, one-nighters, man, you got to have some stamina.
Yeah. And how could you not improve in the presence of greatness like that?
You know what I used to do, Zach? Night after night, because when you're on tour with people,
yeah,
I would go out front of the house and I'd watch their performance every night. I'd watch from the backstage, I'd watch from the front of the house. And I would always ask them questions like, what advice would you give me for this? Like, I'll give an example of Benny King. I said, Benny, what advice would you give me as a songwriter? You know? He told me, be yourself. He said, don't try to copy anybody because that's done already. He said, be yourself, and if one of your songs become popular, your entire catalog will become in demand. So just be yourself, stick to your style, and work on it. And that's something I learned from the stars. I used to watch them. We used to be backstage, and they'd be laughing and joking about stuff. And the same person, a character that was laughing with you backstage, when they walked through the curtain to go to the house to talk to to go on stage, the same smile, the same demeanor they have with you is what they carry to the stage. So that we're not pretending to be anybody but themselves. I learned it's best to, whatever you do in life, is to be who you are and improve who you are and constantly keep working on it, because if people, ultimately you want people to accept you for who you are as a person, right?
Absolutely.
So if you stay in your lane and be yourself and you become accepted, you will never grow old at it. You'll never get tired doing it. And that's why Smokey could still do that at age of soaring, because he was being himself. So It's not hard to be yourself, you know. It's like getting up in the morning. You're who you are.
Well, he's 85 and he's still out there doing it. So
Still doing it.
More power.
He's being himself, man. He's not pretending to do anything but being himself.
More power to him. And Otis Williams, and I hear I've not seen that version of the Temptations live, unfortunately, but I've heard that they're just as great as they ever were. So.
Well, you got Otis at the helm, you know, and Otis has got that prototype to always look back and compare anybody who enters into any of those shoes. So he's going to teach them the right way. You know, unfortunately, Duke is gone now, but the four guys he has together,
right,
he handpicked them.
Yeah,
you know, and they're continuing that legacy well, because they know what shoes they've stepped into, the shoes of greatness.
Right.
So, you know, that's what people should remember. Faces do change, you know, but who and where they come from is constant.
Well, the music lives on. The music lives on through the group that you have. So and their spirit continues. So their spirit is embodied in you guys, and that's what you're going to be bringing to us. You toward all over the country, and you're coming to our small little 500-seater former Vaudeville Theatre in Wytheville, Virginia. And we're so fortunate and so lucky and so excited to have you come to our hometown. I tell you, this town is country as cornbread, and I'm as country as anybody. When you're talking about people, I'm about as southern as country as you can go. But if you have my taste in music, it's all rock and roll and soul all the way. So. This is my kind of stuff coming to my hometown, so I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to see.
I know you're gonna be there, right?
Yes, sir. They got me in the back of the.
How would you like to introduce us that night?
Oh man, I would be honored. I would be honored.
You got the job.
Well, if you can talk Donnie out of it, I would be honored to do it.
Well, let's figure it out. I hope I didn't put my foot in the
Well, no, that's all right. That's all right. Now, Donnie is the manager of the theater, and he usually likes to do it. But, you know, if you can talk Donnie out of it, I'll be glad to. If not, I'm honored that...
Both of you. Well, how about both of you? Can we do that way?
Donnie's the boss. Whatever he says, I'll do.
Oh, so I'll talk with him a little. We'll
Yeah.
see what happens, all right?
Whatever
But I'll
he's.
tell you this though, Zach. Tell people to bring their children. This is a family show. This
Absolutely.
is not an adult show.
Absolutely.
Well,
Well,
kids.
I'm.
Leave the dogs and the cats home.
Yeah, yeah. Even
They're
though,
gonna fight.
even though I think my dog, she'll be 14 tomorrow, and whenever I play music, she's in here jamming with me. So I bet she would like it. I bet even Sophie would like it.
Probably. I think so. Just as long as we don't put them cats and dogs together, you know what
Yeah. You don't start any fights. But I mean,
no.
but
But
in your biography, also it says you are an author. Have you written books?
yes, I wrote a book called Mastering the Art of Live Entertainment. It's called A Natural Guide to Mastering the Art of Live Entertainment, where I teach aspiring artists, how to prepare for their show, how to prepare themselves for the experience, how to feel comfortable in your own skin when you're on stage, what to look out for the technical side, how to relate to the tech crew in the house, things like that. Because I taught that in a couple of music schools. One famous school was called Fur Peace Ranch, that was run by Yorma Cochran of the Jefferson Airplane.
Fantastic.
I'm very good friends with, and we've written songs together. And I taught that at that school, so it's geared to that. And I'm a songwriter as well, as I mentioned. So I'm all for out of business. I've worked with some interesting groups. You ever heard of a group called Bare Naked Ladies?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I produced and arranged the vocals on a joint album with the a cappella group that I'm the lead singer of, the Persuasions, the a cappella group.
Okay.
And we recorded a double vinyl album in 2016 that was released in 2017 called Ladies and Gentlemen, Bare Naked Ladies and the Persuasions.
All right.
So it's a lot of different areas, that I covered.